Now that we have all of the pieces of our frost attack built, let's go ahead back to our main scene and implement it so that we can use it in our game. I'm going to go to my scenes folder, and then I'm going to double click on the main scene to open it up. In this scene, I'm going to go ahead and expand the boy game object, and then the antenna game object. We can see the lightning attack we created previously. I'm going to go to my VFX folder, which is a subfolder of the prefabs folder, and locate my frost attack prefab. I'm going to click and drag that onto the antenna. I want to ensure that its transform is zeroed out, which I can see that it is. If it hadn't been, I could always right click on the transform component and select reset. If I expand Frost Attack, I can see that the Frost Arc game object is underneath of that, and it has its Mesh Collider, which is currently disabled. The other part of the Frost Attack is the Frost Cone. So I'm going to click and drag the Frost Cone prefab from the prefabs folder onto the Frost Attack game object in the hierarchy window. Now if I turn this cone on, we can see it start spraying ice everywhere. We don't want this to happen as soon as we enable the Frost Attack, however, so I'm going to go ahead and disable it. But before I do that, just like the Frost Attack, I need to make sure it's centered on the antenna. So I'm going to right click on the transform and select reset. Obviously, I just realized, doing that forces us to lose our rotation. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Instead, what I'd like to do is simply zero out just the position, leaving the rotation the way it is. So I'm just going to enter in zeros for the X, Y, and Z position values. There we go, that's a lot better. Now that my frost cone is where I want it to be, I'm simply going to disable it in the inspector. Now all we have to do is set up our scripts. I'm going to go to the Frost Attack game object and look at the Frost Attack script. First off, it wants to know what the Frost Debuff prefab is. So I'm going to click and drag the Frost Debuff prefab from the VFX folder, subfolder of prefabs. Then I'm going to click and drag the Frost Cone game object onto the Frost Cone property and the Frost Arc game object onto the Frost Arc property. Now that the Frost Attack game object is all set up, I'm going to go ahead and disable it. That's because the character starts with the lightning attack turned on, and then we'll have to switch over to the Frost Attack weapon. Finally, I'm going to click on the boy game object and scroll down to the player attack script. I'm going to click and drag this Frost Attack game object over to the Frost Attack property and change my number of attacks to 2. Now that this is all done, I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I'm going to press tab, which is going to switch my attack. I can see all my frost debuffs have been created and disabled because it is a pooled attack. Now I can see that I'm able to freeze my enemies in place. While they're frozen, I can switch over to my lightning attack and try to take them out quickly before they get unfrozen. In the next section, we're going to be creating the Stink Bomb lobbed attack. It's really gross, so be sure to check it out.